come back here, useless girl. Mamuna, come back here. Come back here. Mamuna, come back here. You lied. You said it was an accident. Tell them what you did. Mama, why did you leave me alone in this world? Mamuna cried. She knelt by the river, her hands holding the clay pot tightly to her chest. Her shoulders shook as tears dropped into the water. Mama, I miss you. The river grew quiet. Then it began to rumble, slow and deep, like something waking up. The water stirred, circling in front of Mamuna. Gently, the river rose. A face slowly took shape within the moving water, followed by the gentle outline of shoulders, woven from light and flowing current. The figure stood before Mamuna, calm, radiant, and unreal, yet achingly familiar. Mamuna, my child, the woman said softly. Mamuna lifted her head, her eyes wide with tears. Mama! Yes, my child, the river replied. I am here, my dear friends. How did we get here? Let me tell you a story about how a sweet, loving mother was betrayed by her own sister, leaving a 19-year-old girl named Mamuna sad, broken, and motherless. Mamuna was 19 years old, but she had never known peace since her mother, Ravana, died by the river years ago, leaving her at the mercy of her sister Bintu. Bintu made sure Mamuna worked until her body was weak, then forced her to wake up before dawn to start all over again. You are useless, just like your mother, Bintu's voice sliced through the morning air. If I count to 5 and you are still lying there, you already know what is coming next. There was no right way to live with Bintu. Bintu was her late mother's only sister. No one truly knew how her mother died. Years ago, on a dark night, she went out with Bintu and never returned. The river took her. Bintu ran home crying, her body shaking, her clothes soaked with water. She fell to the ground and cried to everyone, saying, I really tried to save her, but the river was too strong. I couldn't hold her. From that night on, Mamuna lost her mother forever. People never went near the river when the sun was setting and evening was approaching. It was said that a woman's voice could be heard crying, but that was Mamuna's favorite place in the village, the only place where she felt close to her mother. Not long after that, Mamuna's father married his late wife's sister, according to the tradition of the village. At first, Mamuna was happy. She believed her mother would never truly be gone now that her mother's sister had become her stepmother. She thought her mother's memory would live on in their home, but she was wrong. The moment Bintu came fully into their lives, everything changed. Bintu had no children of her own. People in the village praised her and said she was kind. They would say she is taking care of her sister's daughter like her own. But Mamuna knew the truth. Kindness does not leave scars. Mamuna's father saw her pain every day. He saw the bruises on her body, the fear in her eyes, the way she moved carefully in her own home. Yet he said nothing. He did nothing to stop his late wife's sister from her cruelty. Instead, he drank. He drank until his eyes grew dull and his words lost meaning. Drinking became his escape from the truth he refused to face. And in that silence, Mamuna suffered alone. Without a mother, without protection, without anyone to stand up for her, Mamuna did all the chores in the house. She cooked every meal, standing over hot fire until her eyes burned from smoke and tears. She washed clothes from morning until night, scrubbing until her fingers became sore and cracked. She fetched water from the river again and again, even when her body was tired and her legs shook. She carried heavy firewood on her head, her neck aching and her back bent under the weight. No one asked if she was tired. No one asked if she was hungry. No one noticed when her hands trembled from exhaustion or when her body grew weak from hunger. If any work was not done well, she was punished. If something went wrong, she was blamed. If she slowed down even for a moment, she was insulted and called useless. In that house, Mamuna was not treated with regard. She was treated like she did not matter at all. Mamuna worked until night fell, then lay down on her thin mat with pain in her body and silence in her heart, knowing the same suffering would be waiting for her again the next morning. Whenever the pain in her chest became too much, Mamuna would lift her water pot and say softly, "Auntie, let me go and fetch more water." Bintu would shout back, "Yes, go and be useful instead of useless." Bintu's words always cut too deep. Mamuna would walk to the river and sit by its edge. She talked to the river like it was alive. "Mother, my sweet dear mother," she whispered, her voice tired and weak. "Today I almost fell while carrying firewood," her eyes filled with tears. "No one asked if I was hurt," she continued. "No one asked if I was okay, not even Papa. All Papa does is drink and drink. He misses you too, Mama." The river flowed quietly, as if it was listening. Mamuna wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Sometimes," she whispered, her voice shaking, "I think it would have been better if I had died with you that night. At least then this pain of missing you every single day would have ended." Her tears dropped into the water one after another, mixing with the river like they belonged there. She hugged her knees to her chest. "I still remember your voice clearly," she whispered. "I still remember your kind face, the one your sister does not have." A soft wind passed, brushing against her skin like a gentle touch. Suddenly, the river slowed. The water shifted quietly, then rose just a little, moving around her feet. Mamuna noticed and stood up, her heart pounding. "Mama, Mama, is that you?" she cried. "I can feel you here, Mama. Why won't you talk to me?" Her voice faded into soft sobs. After a while, she bent down, filled her water pot, and slowly walked back home, her head low. What Mamuna did not know was that her mother saw her every time she came. She saw every tear that fell into the river, and each tear broke her heart too. Bintu's cruelty never stopped. As Mamuna grew older and more beautiful, the hatred only burned hotter. Bintu watched her the way someone watches a wound that never healed, with anger, bitterness, and pain. What Mamuna did not know was that the pain she suffered was never truly meant for her. It was hatred that had lived in Bintu's heart for many years. Hatred for Mamuna's mother. That bitterness grew deeper with time, and Mamuna carried its weight every single day. One morning, Mamuna had already finished cooking and washing plates. Her body was tired and weak as she carried the clean plates carefully into the kitchen. Her hands trembled because she had not eaten all day, and the sun was already high in the sky. Suddenly, one plate slipped from her hands. It fell to the ground and broke. "What was that?" Bintu screamed. "You broke another plate again." Mamuna's heart sank. "I'm sorry, Auntie," Mamuna said quickly, her voice shaking. "It was an accident. Please forgive me." Bintu stormed into the kitchen, anger blazing in her eyes. "Accident," she shouted. "Just like everyone believes your mother's death was an accident." She stopped suddenly. The words hung in the air. Bintu's face changed as she realized what she had almost revealed. Mamuna looked up shocked. "What do you mean by that, Auntie?" she asked softly, her voice trembling. "My mother's death was not an accident." "Shut up," Bintu shouted quickly, panic flashing in her eyes as she tried to cover her words. "Everything you touch turns to waste." Before Mamuna could understand what was happening, Bintu struck her harshly. Mamuna fell to the ground, dizzy and shaken. "Stand up," Bintu yelled. Mamuna tried, but her legs felt weak beneath her. Bintu raised her hand again, her voice sharp with rage. "You want to destroy everything in this house?" she shouted. "Just like your mother tried to ruin my life if I hadn't acted fast." She stopped again. Mamuna froze. "My mother," she whispered. Bintu's face twisted with anger. "Keep quiet," she screamed. "You are nothing, absolutely nothing." That was the moment something inside Mamuna finally broke. She stood up suddenly and ran. She did not look back. She ran barefoot, tears blinding her eyes, her heart pounding wildly in her chest. "Yes, run," Bintu shouted after her. "Run and don't you dare come back." Mamuna did not stop until she reached the river. She dropped to her knees and cried out loudly. "Mama!" she cried. "I can't do this anymore." Her whole body shook as she sobbed. "She hates me," Mamuna cried. "She hates me so much. What did I ever do wrong?" Her tears dropped into the water like rain. "I try every day," she whispered, "but she treats me like I don't matter." The river began to move gently. Mamuna did not notice at first. "I am tired of living like this," she said softly. "They say a mother should always be there for her child. Why did mine have to leave me? Mama, please help me." Suddenly the water rose. Mamuna looked up in fear. The river was no longer calm. The water lifted itself gently, and a soft light shimmered across the surface. Mamuna's breath caught in her throat. "Mama!" she whispered, fear and hope mixing in her voice. The water rose higher and slowly formed the shape of a woman. It was Rihanna, her mother. Her face was gentle. Her eyes were filled with pain and deep love. Mamuna knew that face. "Mamuna, my sweet child," the woman said. Mamuna froze. Rihanna stepped closer. "My child," she said softly. "Mama!" Mamuna whispered. "Yes," Rihanna answered.
tears falling like drops of water. "It is me," Mamuna cried, and crawled closer. "Mama, you are here," she sobbed. "I never left you," Rihanna said gently. "I have seen every tear, every hurt," Mamuna cried uncontrollably. "Listen to me, my child," Rihanna said softly, holding Mamuna's face. "You must be very careful around your aunt. You must be strong and brave." Mamuna looked into her eyes. "One day," Rihanna continued, "when the time is right, the truth will reveal itself." "Come here any time you feel lonely," Rihanna said softly. "Whenever your heart feels too heavy, call my name and I will come to you." Mamuna nodded through her tears. They talked for a long time. Mamuna told her mother everything about the insults that broke her spirit, the hunger that made her weak, the loneliness that followed her everywhere, and the silence of her father that hurt more than words. Rihanna listened, her eyes full of sorrow. Sometimes she gave a sad smile, remembering the little girl Mamuna once was. For the first time in her